a man
That's
who was an
crazy.
artist from Italy who painted the ceilings, hand painted the beams in that living room. It had 18-foot ceilings.
That is crazy.
And the formal dining. You can see the hand painted,
Wow.
attention to detail. Hi, I'm Heidi Bright, founder of BigDogRealty.com. Today I'm here with...
I'm Joe Doan, the manager of marketing here at BigDogRealty.com. Specifically today, what we're going to be talking about is it's a listing down in Tacoma area, and it's very unique. So we're going to get into that. Heidi, what makes this listing a little more unique than a normal one?
Well, first of all, we called this one Perseverance. And you'll see by the end of the story why we named this one Perseverance.
Sure.
And we want to encourage, sometimes that's what it takes.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this happened very quickly, I'd imagine. You listed it next day.
Sold 14 offers in 2 minutes. No.
Flashbacks to 2021.
Right. So this was in 2002, and the seller had heard about a record sale that we had. It was the highest price sale in the state of Washington for any single family residential home, $13 million.
Not bad.
Right. So the seller is another unique part of this particular case study, and she was a very famous woman by the name of Linda Evans.
She was famous in like the 80s, right?
Right. She was a primetime TV show called Dynasty. She was one of the stars. And so some of our audience will remember Dynasty and Linda Evans, Joan Collins.
Nice. I'll have to watch it on reruns.
There you go. And so she had heard about our sale, and her representatives called us, and we went down and met with her to talk about selling a home that's called Villa Madera.
Villa Madera.
Yes.
Very awesome. This is definitely not your run-of-the-mill spec home.
Cookie cutter on a cul-de-sac. No.
Yeah, it's an original 1919 construction, and it's a large 11,000 square feet mansion at that point.
Right.
There's a lot of special things. So let's dive into a little bit about this property.
Okay. It was unique, as you said. Yeah. So built in 1919. Originally, the home was called Villa Carmen, and Mr. and Mrs. Carmen had traveled the world and came back to the Pacific Northwest and designed and built this home. And they worked with an architect who's also world famous. And his name is Kirtland Cutter. And some people who study architecture might recognize his name. Kirtland was educated in New York, Rome, London, and Paris, and he settled in the Pacific Northwest in 1886.
Good choice.
And so he was the right man for the job, and he worked with Mrs. Carmen. He also designed the Seattle Golf Club, the Rainier Club, and the Davenport Hotel in Spokane.
Those are some awesome places. So that's really cool.
Very talented. Yeah.
That you got to see him, because those are non-residential things that he designed.
Right.
And then you got to see what he did in the residential market. So
exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Exactly. And I mean, the result is, you can see in the pictures, an amazing home. The living room was 44 by 32.
That's my kind of living room.
1,400 square feet, as big as some homes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it had a European fireplace that was imported. It was from a castle in Europe.
That's crazy.
It was.
How did it get here?
We don't know.
By wind power. That's crazy. Because you're talking turn of the
Sailboats.
century. Yeah, if it was built in 1919, we'd have to look that up. That's crazy
Lord.
Cool.
Okay. It did. And you know what Mrs. Carmen did? What else she imported was an Italian artisan. A man who was an artist from Italy who painted the ceilings, hand painted the beams in that living room. It had 18-foot ceilings.
That is crazy.
And the formal dining. You can see the hand painted, attention to detail.
Sistine Chapel. Right there.
Exactly. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's been maintained. So Villa Madera is very special. It was sold by the Carmen's to a family called the Murrays, and they purchased it in 1939, and they were part of the Murray Lumber Company. And what we found in the Lakes District of Tacoma, that many of the lumber barons of that day had built these great big estates, these old world mansions, and the Weyerhaeusers are another familiar name that has this kind of home.
They don't make them like they used to, huh?
No, they really don't. So there were some challenges.
Yeah, I would imagine, because everything, I mean, it sounds super positive that you just said, but it's like those are incredible, unique, awesome things about this property. But that means it's going to be incredibly unusual to list, I would imagine.
You know, the thing with Pierce County, the highest sale in all of Pierce County at the time was $1.2 million. And Linda had in her mind she wanted to list this at $2.5 million.
Gotcha. So she wanted over double what the highest it ever. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, we felt like with the right marketing that we had a really good shot at achieving this result for Linda.
Right. So you've got this challenge of an old home, a large home that it kind of needs to break a glass ceiling, so to speak, of what the market demand is.
In that location.
In that area. Now, if it was an hour north in Medina, it would be a completely different story.
In fact, I was quoted in the media saying that the price tag on this home in Medina would be $12 million. So that just shows you right there. Location, location. It's a rule of real estate.
So yeah, you've got these incredible attributes about this unique, amazing, history-rich property. But that can be a challenge. So what was the tactic that the Big Dog team really pursued to get the deal done?
Well, it starts with photography, and you'll hear me say that in these case studies that, you know, we really take a unique approach to the photography to showcase the home in its absolute, not just best light, but a unique way that evokes emotion with the buyers that's distinctive and memorable. In those days, 2002, we were shooting on film. There wasn't digital photography.
Not on your iPhone either.
Right, exactly. It was a 2-day photo shoot. It would take up to 3-4 hours to set each shot up.
Make a camping trip out of it.
Brought my sleeping bag.
Yeah, exactly. Just pull
my fry pan.
Yeah.
Fry up some eggs, have some coffee.
But hey, whatever it takes, the detail, you know?
I wouldn't mind camping on this property. It was 3.5 acres.
Yeah. Oh.
On the lakefront, 169 feet of waterfront.
That's my kind of camping.
Right. In fact, you know what? The gardens of this home were featured on the Garden Tour of America 3 or 4 times over the course of a century. That's a big deal. I mean, it was along with the Bouchard Gardens in Victoria, BC.
That is pretty cool.
It was.
Wow, so there's a lot going for this property.
There was, but I'll tell you, the strategy that really, I think, made the difference, besides perseverance, was we had to find ways to create demand, because there was not demand, clearly.
Absolutely, and that's pretty much the goal of marketing.
Create demand.
Right.
So we've had some innovative ways that we've done that over the course of 25 years in business. And one thing, you know, that was also unique about this property is Linda allowed us to use her name in marketing it. She said, if it'll bring extra eyeballs to the property, go for it. So we put together press kits.
Yeah, that's pretty unusual for someone that is famous.
Right. They don't want it to, they want their privacy protected. They want confidentiality, and that would be the norm that we would do. And that takes a special skill set right there. You know, screening for financial qualification and doing it in a way that isn't offensive to a buyer, but yet protects the seller. And so, you know, we've done that over all these years. But Linda, and we did it for Linda, we just... the confidentiality, she said, you know, you can say it's my property. So what it did was it created millions of eyeballs on the property. We received so much national and international attention, media. We're Wall Street Journal, USA Today.
So with all those eyeballs, it's important when you're listing a property to be like, okay, we got all these eyeballs on it, but it really doesn't matter because you got to find that specific buyer.
Interesting. Yes. So, like, a lot of sellers think the buyer is going to come from out of state. Probably going to come from California.
Oh, for sure. That was the fad last year.
Well, this is many years ago.
Sure,
They
yeah.
were still, buyers are coming. Linda was from California. And with the national media attention, we had inquiries from Chicago and New York and Florida and
Oh, wow.
overseas. Is the buyer going to come from China? Where are they going to come from? Like a lot of buyers, I thought, yep, buyers coming from out of state. And I was willing to make a wager.
Were you?
I did. I bet $100.
$100. That is unlike you, Heidi.
I'm
Usually,
a dollar
yeah,
better.
we make dollar bets all the time.
That's it. That's
It's
my
been,
max.
But so $100, you were certain.
I was that certain that the buyer would come from out of state.
Well, did the buyer come from out of state?
No.
Someone in-house.
No. The buyer was local, though. And,
Okay.
a lot of the times that is the case. It really is. If I look back, the buyers are coming local.
That's a nice little nugget.
Yeah. So, but it took 2 years for that right buyer to really step forward and say, hey, I want to come and see this property. And I'll tell you, when she did, her eyes lit up. I saw this sparkle that I see once in a while with buyers, and you just know she was the one destined to purchase this home.
I love that.
Yeah, and they've been great stewards of it. And in the end, we got a record price for the seller.
Awesome. That's the goal.
Yeah, $1.9 million plus $100,000 for furnishings.
Okay, so right at that $2 million mark.
Right at the $2 million mark. So
That's fantastic.
It just took that perseverance. It really did.
Right, because in combination with all those things going for it and creating demand with the marketing and using the name drop of Linda Evans and all that stuff, it just basically what you're telling me is it just took sticking to your game plan and persevering what the goal was through 2-year process. That's a long time, and especially if you're a seller, and not every seller's that patient. But clearly the wait was worth the reward at the end for her.
Right. She was very, very happy, and it was a record sale that held in Pierce County for quite a while.
That's awesome.
Until we broke it again.
We'll get into that later. That's another one. So yeah, we are very thankful for you guys taking the time to join us as we talk a little bit about Big Dog Realty team's past success that has made very happy clients. So we hope that this was valuable to you and it helps you on your real estate journey.
Thanks for joining.